nobody panic. It's just the end of quarter, end of year earnings call. The Funko stock dropped last time and it went back up again like it always does. No big deal.
Can you start off the video any more boringer?
I don't know about financial stuff, and I'm trying to translate it, but I don't think I'm gonna do a good job.
We're gonna make a boring video fun, and we're gonna talk about how Funko's a sinking ship. Sell all of your stuff now! So Heather and I just listened to the Funko earnings call.
You listened to it because I fell asleep.
It was full of bad news, and we listened to the entire thing, but prior to that, Funko's stock went...
Because they released all of their financial.
Exactly, and because of the Funko financial call, a lot of people were bracing for what they were about to announce. Because if Funko gives you a lot of bad news, most likely people are not going to want to buy their shares. But who knows what's happening after today's financial call? There was a lot said, we collected a lot of data, and we're going to tell you the data I think that you want to hear the most, and the things that are most entertaining. I don't want to get too boring in this video, so we're going to try our best not to be boring.
Before we get too deep into this video, I just want to make it very, very clear that Chris and I are not financial people at all, and a lot of that call was as if we were listening to a foreign language.
Absolutely.
They were using a lot of acronyms.
Yes.
We had to Google a lot, but we did it for you.
And before we get into this, look at our new Mischief Toy Zombie shirts. Aren't these awesome?
They will be available for pre-order tomorrow, which is Friday, March 3rd at 9 a.m. Eastern, and they will be available for just over an entire week until next Friday, March the 10th at 9 p.m. Eastern time. So make sure you get yours because this is the only time you'll be able to get them.
Once we do this run, we will be done. And I just want to make one note that this shirt will be slightly different. We're going to make the logo here a lot larger. These are just sort of like test shirts.
They're called samples, Chris.
All right, we just got samples. So let's just keep moving on. But first, hit that subscribe button and the like button. That helps this channel in a very big way. And make sure you check out our Patreon at patreon.com/Gastlecast. All right, Funko's financial call. As I promised, we're only going to talk about the things that are fun and like entertaining and trash. Like the bad, there's a lot of bad things that happened.
So we're basically going to talk about the entire call.
We're going to talk about, well, we're going to talk about a lot of the call, but we're going to make it entertaining and fun and not boring and drone on.
You've already droned on about how it's not going to be boring.
Well, I'm just saying, like, it's not going to be terrible. It's going to be fun. We're going to have a good time while we talk about it. We'll make it very entertaining. There will not be any juggling. We will not have a lot of flames in this video. You won't see a lot of flames. You may see some of the boba cup. I don't really know. But we're going to make this as entertaining as we possibly can.
You know why I like boba? Because I can say I have balls in my mouth.
Okay, don't do that. You're going to just start it?
I have balls in my mouth.
If I could just keep those balls out of your mouth, it would be okay. I just can't keep those balls out of your mouth.
I can't help it. I love them so much.
Just swallow them. Just swallow the balls, Heather.
No, they're very chewy.
I know. That's what's good about it. Just swallow them. You'll never know. You said this is your favorite thing about boba? This is the thing I hate about boba. So while the financial call was going on today, Heather was taking a lot of very good notes. Now, the notes that she took, I'm not entirely sure how accurate they're going to be because we could only understand certain things. But I think what you gathered, we will totally understand because it was a lot of like the horrible things.
Yeah, so I have their earnings presentation right in front of me. I guess that the people on the call had this in front of them and were able to like go over the data, but it ain't good. And what's interesting about this and the beginning of the call is it seems very positive.
Yes.
Brian Mariotti was on there. He was talking about, okay, we're getting better. We're doing this. We're doing that. The company's gonna do better. You'll see changes in Q4 of 2023 or whatever. The beginning of this earnings presentation, hey, Funko has something for every fan. Look at all of these licenses we have. And they list Disney and Stranger Things and WWE and Dragon Ball and Simpsons and Star Wars and Universal and Naruto and Yu-Gi-Oh! And Kingdom Hearts, which when the was the last time that they did a Kingdom Hearts pop?
No, it's been a while.
Seinfeld is on there. They must really be reaching if that's the case.
They're desperate, yeah.
What do you want to talk about first?
Well, let's go over all your notes because I think the notes are the most important part of the entire thing because this is what we personally process. So one of the biggest things about this phone call was Buckeye. That was like the biggest topic of the entire call was Buckeye and how horrible the whole Buckeye situation has been, which recently we know that they were selling a lot of at Buckeye. Literally, they were selling a lot of stuff there.
Yes, they said that they had come across a bunch of old stock.
Yeah, so they mentioned that everything sold at Buckeye was literally the oldest stuff that they had, which is very interesting because we just saw Stranger Things Funko Pop go up on Funko.com today.
Yeah, from the very first wave, it was the common Dustin Pop.
Right.
So is that like an unvaulted new one, or is that something they found?
I feel like it's something they found, but here's the thing. The stuff that they sold, they considered old, and that's probably because it was manufactured a very long time ago for them. So Funko basically talked about how this warehouse was set up and it wasn't properly run. They didn't have the software, and we have already talked about this. We covered this in former videos, but I'm just bringing it up so it makes sense as we move forward.
So one thing that really caught both of our attentions, our little ears perked up, was that they're trying to lessen the inventory at Buckeye.
Well, they're trying to lessen the inventory all the way around, it sounds like. I feel like maybe this is of the overproduction that we've always talked about?
Possibly, but I had another thought when I heard that, because are they lessening the inventory at their facilities because they mentioned doing a lot of third-party stuff?
Yes.
Or are they lessening inventory because, like you said, overproduction? Or does this mean more waves of Funko Pops? For example, they come out with, say, the Spider-Man No Way Home. This is just me pulling that out of my butt. I don't think that this is true, but they have a Spider-Man pop, right? Instead of ordering, say, 50,000 of the same pop and putting it in their warehouse, maybe they order 20,000 at a time, but they order the same amount just in multiple waves.
In waves.
You know what I mean?
No, that makes sense. I can understand that.
Possibly. I don't know. They didn't really elaborate too much on that.
No, but they also talked about how the storage is very expensive for all this stuff. So they talked about containers. So apparently they have tons of containers where they're storing all of this inventory, and that's aside from the warehouse. So they are trying to basically cut out all of those extra containers to house all of this stuff and have just enough that'll go into their warehouse spaces.
Very interesting.
They also mentioned the consolidation of Funko and Loungefly. So that's a huge thing that they're trying to do now. There was an email that went out this week. It was about the combination of Funko and Loungefly. Basically, you can order everything from the same place. And the reason for that is because they're trying to house everything at the warehouse together. So when you order something online, they're all coming from exactly the same place. So this is a big initiative. They want to make sure that they're not spending too much money when they're selling product, because apparently that is one of the huge pitfalls that they faced.
Yes. So one thing that they said was that their SG&A was $139 million. And SG&A means selling, general, and administrative expenses, which essentially means the amount of money they're putting in to selling their product.
Exactly. Like as an example, for Mischief Toys, we use Shopify. So there actually is a cost for us to sell our figures and our shirts and our merchandise on the website through Shopify. So we're paying like a source in order to do it, which is exactly what they're doing. They're buying software. They're having to maintain a facility, right? All the things that go into selling those products.
Exactly. Now, on their earnings presentation, they have a comparison. So it's basically comparing quarter 4 of 2021 to quarter 4 of 2022 and the full year of 21 and 22. So during quarter 4 of 2021, they spent $78.3 million in SG&A. That sounds huge.
It is.
Until you hear that they spent in quarter 4 of 2022, $139.2 million in SG&A.
Yes, and this was actually brought up during the phone call. Somebody actually asked this question.
Yes.
And so this is a really big deal for Funko, and a lot of people are looking at them right now wondering, why the hell are you spending so much money?
Yeah.
And that's because of all the storage. And so this actually pertains to a lot of the big box stores that they sell their product to. A lot of them were not putting in a lot of orders. So that was a problem. Hot Topics, the smaller ones, they're also kind of limiting how much they're putting on their shelves.
Yes,
so
which we've noticed.
This was a huge impact to Funko, which is why the numbers are so high.
One major point that they brought up is that they will be using a third party for their logistics, which in my opinion is a huge problem. You've heard us complain so many times about the inconsistencies at Funko. So for example, in Facebook groups, you see a lot of people having damaged shipments or wrong shipments or whatever. And if you take notice, a lot of people will have the same issue, contact customer service and get different results. If you receive something damaged, one person might have their box completely smashed and Funko says, oh, here's a $15 credit. The next person might have a little tear, but then Funko sends them a complete replacement. So you notice inconsistencies as a customer within their customer service department. With that being said, third-party logistics is a huge problem because if the customer service people can't even communicate with each other and say, okay, this is how we're handling this situation. If someone gets a up box, then we're giving them $15 all across the board. Or if someone gets a up box, we're giving them a full replacement.
Yes, but there's another problem with this. We don't know how that third-party logistics is going to handle all of these pops that are being shipped out. This is a huge red flag, and I hope this isn't something that's going to be associated with the Drop NFT Funko Pops.
Absolutely.
Because we already have a huge problem with those. We don't need any more problems.
If Funko can't even communicate internally with their own department and even further their own company, because we have heard that there's even more inconsistencies past the consumer side of things, right?
Yeah.
How are they going to communicate with a third party?
This is basically for them to reduce the amount of money that they're spending. So the third party thing is actually helping them financially because their warehouse is not up and running, but they hope to have it up and running by the summertime. And they're also going to have the proper software in order to run the warehouse because they didn't have the proper software when they set the warehouse up. So there's been a lot of problems with this warehouse. And in fact, this is sort of what has totally affected Funko and the way that they do business. And hopefully if they fix this, maybe things will go back on track. But right now, things are looking really, really wacky.
So 2 key points that have caught my interest on their earnings presentation slide that's being passed around is that their net sales decreased just 1% to $333 million, but their income decreased 368% to negative $46.7 million.
And that's probably because a lot of the big box stores aren't buying product.
Yeah, well, not only that, but they're spending so much money.
Right, with all of the warehouse crap and all of the container crap that they're doing, they're just super, they just have too much. And nobody wants to buy it. And when I say nobody, I mean the big box stores.
Yeah, well, not only that, but remember that 139 million SG&A number?
Yeah, I still don't know what that means, but yes.
The cost of selling and distributing.
Right, sure.
I'm assuming that that's like marketing and some employees possibly, and
yeah, I guess.
their softwares and stuff. Like, it sounds like everything grouped into one, right?
Right.
They're spending so much money, but they're not making it back. It's almost like they've gotten themselves so deep in trying to make money that they're spending too much money to continue to try to make it.
Basically, they're trying to meet what they were formerly able to do, but they're not able to do it like they were.
And why is that?
Because they overproduced.
Yes.
Yeah, so it all comes back to overproduction. And in fact, they're cutting 10% of their workforce. And I don't know if that means what we've already discussed about the people that were already cut from like the art department and stuff, or if that means they're actually cutting more people over at Funko.
Yeah, I don't know either, but it sounded like there's going to be more loss. And they did mention that more work is going to Asian countries.
Exactly. So they're going to be doing a lot more of that 3D sculpting and all the other things that we discussed in our videos right here. This is where you caught it. That was actually coming out in the earnings call today. All the things that we've been discussing for weeks came together in this earnings call.
It's crazy.
It's crazy that we're so good as a YouTube channel.
I know.
We have good news. Come on. You know, I was thinking after we do this boring earnings call thing, we'll stack a bunch of pops on top of each other. That'll be really great. People will love that.
They really will. They love that.
My God.
You know what pop would make it happen? The gelatinous cube. It's just a cube.
Or any of the 8-bit Funko Pops. Remember those and how horrible they were?
Hey, they were fun. Okay, so the last big thing that they said was talking about product liquidation.
They are destroying a bunch of stuff. They're destroying a bunch of stuff And they ended it by saying that they're going to recycle it. And they want to do it in the right way. And they would not necessarily point out exactly what they're destroying. The person on the phone call asking the questions asked what they would be destroying. And he said, Pops and other sort of similar merchandise. And they said yes. So that means that the games that we saw in that trash pile the other day most likely is something to do with this.
Possibly, but those were like in a straight up landfill, it looked like.
I know.
So
in my opinion, that could be a sign that they're not doing it the right way, but that is not confirmed. This is completely an allegedly sort of situation scenario. I don't know what they're doing with it. I'm just saying that it's very strange that just a couple of days ago, we're seeing these Funko Pops and things in landfills, and then they're also talking through this phone call that it's all going to be recycled properly.
They mentioned that they're going to get a third party to destroy them and then recycle what they can of the destroyed product, whatever that means. They said that they wanted to do it in a green way. Something that really struck me as interesting, and I think that it's not just the NFT pops that they're destroying. They mentioned that they were going to do it and have someone witness it to be able to give a certificate of destruction to the licensors.
Yes, yeah, you're right. I heard that.
So why are they going through all of that hassle? I mean, I know that they probably are having to prove that they are destroying unsold product, but
right. It's a legality thing, I guess.
But why do they have to destroy it? Why not just make a lower quantity that's actually gonna sell?
Well, that's probably what they're going to do moving into the future, because that's what it sounded like in the phone call. But for right now, they're destroying this stuff because that is the easiest way of doing it. They take everything that they have, they take it to recycling bin place, and then they take some of it to trash place or whatever, and that's how they just dispose of it, and they just wash their hands of all this shit. Because their big focus in this whole call was all about storage of all of this inventory. So because they can't store it, they're going to destroy it. So at the beginning of the video, we were sort of joking about the stock falling, and that's because they released this financial information prior to the call. I don't understand stocks a whole lot, but what I do know is that you typically buy when it's low. People will most likely start buying all this up, and it'll probably go back up again. That's at least what we saw the last time that this happened.
It went down pretty significantly, and then it's gradually gone back up. Okay, so in this call, they talked about getting back to historical numbers, meaning not in debt, not in the negatives.
Yeah.
They also mentioned that they feel like they're going to be at a good place by the end of the year.
Yep, they sure did. Well, they want to get that warehouse back up and running properly. And I think they'll be able to do business a lot better, a lot more smooth. And it might even boost the confidence of these big box companies that Funko is able to do what they're supposed to do. Because I think what was happening is they were putting in orders and Funko was delivering way too late due to the pandemic and shipping issues. I think there was a lot of problems there. And you and I could sit here and talk about it all day, what we think it was. What we do know is that there was an issue with their warehouse. There was issue with shipping stuff. And a lot of these companies were getting very angry, specifically Target. Remember we talked about the Eddie Munson Funko Pop. They showed up a bunch of them on store shelves, but not a lot. And then they finally sold out at Target. And then they started ending up at Ollie's and a bunch of the cheapy stores.
Yes, because they were delivered way past Target's date of actually being able to be put on the shelves. They were apparently arriving in like October timeframe. Target can't sell their product once it's been marked as salvage, so they either throw it away or sell it for really cheap.
Exactly. So that's what causes a lot of problems with the big box stores, which made probably the big box stores sort of back off, and they're like, I don't know if we want to touch Funko right now. They aren't handling things very well. We cannot trust them.
Well, not just that, but again, overproduction, because when Funko started overproducing things, people are less and less interested in their product because they know that it's not going to gain that long-term value like older Funko Pops have, because it doesn't have that scarcity along with it.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's allegedly, because we're not entirely sure. If the warehouse ran properly, they were getting out all this product properly, who knows what the landscape would look like right now. It might just be that they had warehouse issues and shipping issues. We don't know. We have no idea. We're just literally speculating on pretty much all of this, and the only thing that we can be confident in is the information that they gave us. And the information that they gave us none of it was good news.
No, but they kept saying that the future was good news.
They have to say that for the stockholders in hopes that they'll stick around and they'll continue being able to be the great big Funko and grow to hit that $2.6 billion in a couple of years. But right now, it's not looking so good, and we're literally hanging on to promises. All the stockholders are hanging on promises. We'll find out if they're empty promises soon.
You know what I thought would be really funny is if someone jumped on and it was like one of the ex-employees, because it was all live. They were like, hey, f you guys!
Oh my God.
You know what would be even funnier? I'm pretty sure that the lady who was on the last call, who was like bombarding them with questions, who was going real hard in the paint, I'm pretty sure that she was on this call.
Yes.
It would have been so funny if she said, hey, so the Gastlecast said,
oh my
and then
God,
just like
no.
pelted them with like, this is what you're doing and you're f***ing up and blah, 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 blah.
Right.
How funny would that be if we somehow ended up in a Funko earnings call?
So I'm so glad that would never happen, because we don't need that.
That would be
horrible.
So hilarious,
Oh
though. Because on those calls, they basically put on their suit and tie, and they're these big professional guys and being very careful with what they say. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a lawyer in the room while they're talking.
Well, they were reading off paper the whole time, too.
Oh, yeah.
It all came across as like an infomercial to me.
Yes.
Like, the way that they were speaking to each other just sounded so fake. And by the way, they have a new COO. I think he's also CFO. His name is Steve something? Steven something?
Isn't he the one that they brought in temporarily to fix all their issues? Like, he had fixed, like, Walmart.
Yeah, so he was a part of Walmart.com, apparently. So that's, like, his claim to fame. He was on there talking. He sounded better than Big B, in my opinion. The way that he came off sounded more natural than Big B. Big B sounded like, I feel like they pushed a tape recorder or, like, a tape player. And they beep, turned it on, and it played, like, just his voice.
It was like sound bites, almost.
Exactly. That's exactly what it sounded like. I don't know. This earnings call was really crazy, and I hope you're able to take something away from this video. No, Funko is not burning down yet. There aren't very many good pieces of news coming out of this, but it does seem like they're trying to do better, and they want to improve by the end of the year. Will they improve by the end of the year? What do you think? I
don't know, because with all these business people in charge and trying to please people that are stockholders, stakeholders, what have you, they're focusing more on the money rather than the collectors. And like I've said a million times before, they need to have a balance.
Well, they asked that question today. Somebody asked a question about Brian Mariotti. You are doing the money thing right now, but typically you're one of the people who has a lot of the ideas.
He did the creative stuff before.
Yeah, exactly. And so they're like, does this mean you're not getting into new stuff? R&D? Like, they were asking all these things. You know what R&D is?
Research and development.
There you go. So basically they're saying, are you going to get into new things? And his retort, did you hear it?
It was basically just, we're focusing on operations, logistics, etc., trying to better that, and then we'll focus on other items.
Okay, well then maybe you missed this part. He talked about the little Funko Pops things that they're making?
Yeah, he said that he had a really good response from retailers, and like, that's cool, but I don't know.
It was so funny because I'm thinking, this is what he believes will save Funko right now. Like, that's in my mind. He's like, itty bitties. That's gonna save the whole thing.
No,
right?
Catering to collectors and lowering your numbers, which would lower your overhead, which would also make your pieces more sought after to collectors. That is what's going to save Funko. It's not overproducing and trying to push onto people. It's making collecting their product collectible again.
Exactly. We don't have much more to say other than that. And we would like to know your thoughts and more in the comment section down below. And what do you think was the worst piece of news during this financial call that we covered in this video? In every video, we like to shout out to some of our patrons from Patreon. In this video, we'd like to shout out to Joe B, Roland Roach, Bully Doggy Dog, Dolan Kunath, Dr. Applesauce, Ernest Allen, Brandy Villa, Jacob Martin, Maddie Mooch, and Gudge22. Thank you guys so much for your continued support. We appreciate all of our patrons. You guys rock. Thank you for staying until the very end of the video. We really appreciate you. And patrons, you guys are amazing. Remember, as always, we're all together, yes. We'll catch you next time.
Bye.